Well, hello and welcome to Business 360. I am Ashmit Kumar and here are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. Sensex and Nifty end flat after a volatile session. Mid-caps and banks outperformed the blue chips. Metal stocks drag. World Bank raises India's GDP forecast for the fiscal from 6.6% to 7%, says robust investment activity is driving growth. However, calls on India to firm up a strategic plan to diversify exports, argues that India is not capitalizing on the China Plus One opportunity. Potential relief for Infosys. 30,000 crore rupee GST notice. Sources say Council is likely to clarify on the tax demand. FMCG companies could also get some relief on the tax imposed on snacks. That's an exclusive. Auto component maker Samvardhana Motherson is likely to raise $1 billion. Sources say the company is set to launch a qualified institution placement soon. That's an exclusive. The Indian Air Force drops food packets and water to residents of Vijayawada as Andhra Pradesh and Telangana reel under heavy rains and flooding. At least 35 people killed so far. Chief ministers from both states asked the Prime Minister to declare the flooding a national emergency. West Bengal Assembly unanimously passes an anti-rape bill. The bill seeks capital punishment for persons convicted of rape if their actions result in the victim's death or leaving her in a vegetative state. Additionally, the bill proposes a life sentence without parole for those convicted of rape. Despite mounting pressure, Defiant Netanyahu refuses to change course in the war on Gaza, asks for forgiveness over the deaths of hostages, terms UK's decision to curb arms supply as shameful. Israeli strikes kill 8 people killing in Gaza while they were buying bread. The death toll in Gaza is beyond 40,700. Apeksha Jain, the founder of the startup Gourmet Jar, says Bajaj Finserv's refused to provide an overdraft limit due to the lack of any male directors in the company. Jain asks if women were not capable of running their companies and repaying debt. Bajaj Finserv says her concerns have been resolved. Well, let's start with a look at the day's market action. The Sensex and the Nifty ended flat after a volatile session. Mid-caps marginally outperformed the blue chips, with the index gaining nearly 150 points. Financial stocks did most of the heavy lifting. The Nifty Bank Index gained by nearly 250 points today, but metal stocks dragged the market. Prashant Nair is joining us now with a quick wrap of the day's market action. Prashant.
Well, it was a completely lackluster day through the course of the session today, but towards the end, the Nifty Bank came into its own, saw a sharp spike, took out some important retracement levels, and that basically gave the Nifty a bit of a lift as well. We basically had a flat close on the index, on the Nifty benchmark, so as to speak. The Nifty Bank, of course, today at least has been the weaker of the two indices, but today was different with bulk of the gains there. Mid-caps and small caps, I mean, those have looked better, even when in the frontline indices were flat, about a 0.5% gain coming through on both these. Now, I'll start with, some sectors here. So you basically had, the consumer space, private banks and small caps, which looked up. And what was under pressure? Energy, you had metals and the real estate pack, which was a little down and out through the course of the day. As far as specific stocks are concerned, SBI Life, HDFC Life, ICICI Bank, Shriram Finance, Bajaj Finserv, these are the top 5 gainers, all financial services in terms of what we had. On the downside, you had Infosys, ONGC, Bajaj Finance, which actually took a bit of a break. Bajaj Finance, of course, had a decent day yesterday. In the broader space, advances outnumbered declines, but a little more vibrant than yesterday, but nothing compared to what we've had previously. Defense as a pack did very well. There was Mazgaon, the other shipbuilders did well. HAL was higher. Raymond, there was a Raymond Lifestyle press conference and some numbers, etc. being put out. Sharp gains there. JM Financial, Godrej Industries, Quest Corp, Orient Cement, Matrimony, Aadhar Small Finance Bank, where there was a broker initiation, VRL Logistic and IIFL Securities were some of the stocks which were up and about. On the downside, you had Signature, the real estate player, Z Enterprises, Axicades was a big loser today, Karnataka Bank and Yatra were some of the other losers. When we came into this today morning, you didn't have US session, but we will have that. And global markets, at least at the very margin, will play a role when we see tomorrow. Back to you.
Right, Prashant, thanks so much for that. Now, the Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency is planning to raise funds, and sources have told CNBC-TV18 that this proposal is under consideration. The company has sought the government's approval to dilute up to 10% stake. Reports have suggested that the company is planning to raise 25,000 crore rupees from debt market and 4,500 crore rupees via equity in FY25. And meanwhile, shares of Medi Assist Healthcare Services surged after 13.5% equity worth 580.5 crore rupees changed hands in a block deal. The transaction took place at 612 rupees per share. Sources have told CNBC-TV18 that the company's promoter, Bessemer India, is likely to be the seller. And well, on to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Samvardhana Motherson is likely to raise up to $1 billion via qualified institutional placement or QIP. Sources have said that the QIP will be launched soon and its proceeds may be used for debt reduction and acquisitions.
We understand from our sources that the auto ancillary maker Samvardhana Motherson is looking to launch its QIP very soon, and via QIP, company is looking to raise up to $1 billion, or say more than rupees 8,000 crore. And QIP proceeds may be used for an acquisition or debt reduction. Also, for the same, bankers are already appointed, and roadshow may begin very soon. In the last interview that company had with CNBC-TV18 after Q1 FY25 earnings, it had said it has been looking at acquisitions. Also on the debt front, it had guided to reduce debt to 1 times EBITDA from 1.5 times that currently company has. Gross debt as of June 2024 was rupees 20,114 crore, which had increased 16% from March level, and net debt was rupees 13,370 crore, which was up 29% from March level. And in its reply to CNBC-TV18's query, company has said currently it does not have any ongoing deal roadshow.
Right, my colleague Sardason there with those exclusive details. Let's move ahead now. Bajaj Housing Finance has set a price band of 66 to 70 rupees per share for its initial public offering that will begin on the 9th of September. The 6,560 crore rupee initial public offering will comprise a fresh issue of equity shares of up to 3,560 crore rupees and an offer for sale to the tune of 3,000 crore rupees by the parent company Bajaj Finance. And the cabinet has approved the proposal of semiconductor company KN Semicon to set up a plant in Sanand in Gujarat. This will be India's 5th semiconductor unit with an investment outlay of 3,300 crore rupees. The proposed unit will produce nearly 60 lakh chips per day. Now, speaking to CNBC-TV18, Jairam Sampath, whole-time director and CFO at Kaynes Technology, has said that the company expects 200 crore revenue from the chip unit in the fourth quarter of FY26.
The commercial production starts off in third quarter. Fourth quarter, we'll have significant revenues, maybe 200 crores plus kind of revenues. We don't operate at 100% technically, right? So generally about 80% plus. So 80% plus can deliver up to about 4,000 crores. It entirely depends on what kind of work we do. So, but typically the asset turns in this business of about 1 to 1.5. So we're hoping to kind of set up our businesses and our portfolio of customers in such a way that we get a slightly better run rate on the asset turns.
Meanwhile, the World Bank has raised India's GDP forecast for the fiscal from 6.6% to 7%. However, the World Bank has called on India to firm up its strategic plan to diversify exports. It has argued that India is not capitalizing on the China Plus One opportunity.
We saw the global economy was quite muted in last year, especially associated with heightened geopolitical uncertainties and also a relatively restrictive monetary policy. However, against this backdrop, India's performance was extraordinarily good as the fastest growing economy at 8.2%. Consistent with this strong growth, the urban labor market we also saw an improvement, although the youth unemployment remained relatively high. And over the medium term, we foresee the economy to remain strong and robust at around 7 or close to 7%.
India has done very well at increasing its share of high-tech high-tech export, which is great, which is very good. But there is an opportunity to increase India's share in export categories where when you export, you also create jobs. And those may not necessarily be low-tech, but they're not necessarily high-tech either. They are labor-intensive exports. So there is an opportunity to look at those areas, and it may include textile, apparel and footwear. It may include, new areas such as green technology.
Well, the GST Council which is scheduled to meet next week, will take up a host of issues. Sources tell us that a potential relief is in store for Infosys and tech giants like Amazon, Google and Meta. Timsy Jaipuriya gets us a sneak peek on what we could expect. Timsy.
Well, as you rightly said, the upcoming GST Council meeting, which is slated to meet on September 9th. Now, amongst the top expectations is provisions to give relief to Infosys. Remember, Infosys is contesting a pre-show cause notice sent by DGGI worth 30,000 crore rupees. They were initially sent a notice worth 32,000 crore rupees, out of which 2,000 crore rupees has been waived for the first year, as per the clarifications the company gave to DGGI. Also, there's likely to be a relief through provisions for data hosting players such as Amazon, Google, Meta, etc. Sources say that there could be clarity in form of circulars on what is considered as a software cloud computing, clarity expected in terms of treatment of place of supply, what should be treated as export of services, the GST rate treatment when recipient is abroad, and much more. Apart from that, also the council is likely to give relief to FMCG sector. Remember, FMCG sector has been contesting DGGI claims on what should be the rate on snacks made via extrusion and other snacks and namkeen such as bhujia, etc. Currently, the rate on snacks that are being sold via extrusion process, 18% GST is levied, and the council nominated fitment committee says that in the future, that is prospectively, there could be a parity on namkeens and extrusion-based snacks at 12%, but for the past claims, 18% is what is going to stand. Also, the council is likely to discuss and deliberate upon the proposal to have parity of GST rate on car seats and two-wheeler seats. Currently, car seats are classified at 18% and two-wheeler seats are classified at 28%, and thus Fitment Committee says that there is a need for parity. Thus, prospectively, the panel suggested a 28% GST, both whether it is a car seat or a two-wheeler seat. Apart from that, council is also likely to discuss upon the compensation cess, the current status of the cess, where are we in terms of the cess, the payouts that have been made so far. Discussions on the status report is what was expected. We have heard from various quarters, and this is likely to come up on September 9th. Collections of the compensation cess are likely to continue even after FY25, as per the maths that has been suggested by the GST Council Secretariat, and they say that about 1.37 lakh crore rupees is the arrears, which will remain even after FY25, and thus the collections need to continue through FY26 as well. Back to you.
Right, Timsy, thanks so much for that. So clearly a lot on the plate ahead of that September 9th meeting of the GST Council. With that, it's time now for slipping into a very short break. But coming up, Apeksha Jain, the founder of the startup Gourmet Jar, says that Bajaj Finserv refused to provide an overdraft limit due to the lack of any male directors in the company. Details when we come back. Welcome back now. Apeksha Jain, the founder of the startup Gourmet Jar, said that Bajaj Finserv refused to provide an overdraft limit due to the lack of any male directors in the company. In a social media post, Jain asked if women are not capable of running their own companies and repaying debt. Her post has sparked an uproar online, and Bajaj Finserv says that her concerns, meanwhile, have been resolved. Ritu Singh is joining us now with more details. Ritu, tell us what exactly transpired with Apeksha Jain.
Well, we know that despite having a lower delinquency rate or a better track record of repayment of loans, women borrowers often face challenges in access to finance. If you look at the data, nearly a fifth of the total MSMEs in India are led by women, and yet official figures show that women constitute only 7% of the total outstanding credit to MSMEs. Now, while both the number of women borrowers and their share in credit is also growing, almost a third of the total retail borrowers now, this unseen gender bias prevalent in the system does pose some concerns, and it is that bias which was recently highlighted by the founder of a startup company called the Gourmet Jar, where Apeksha Jain, the founder, shared this on social media, pointing to a fact that there was a recent experience she had where her application for an overdraft facility was denied by Bajaj Finserv simply because her company lacked a male co-applicant. In the response to the same post on LinkedIn, a few other women have also commented about similar experiences with other lenders, particularly when it comes to home loans. Now, it will be simplistic to generalize this to all cases involving all women borrowers or paint all lenders with the same brush, but the incident does highlight a problem area. Now, we did reach out to Bajaj Finserv for a comment to understand if this is an isolated incident or if there was such a policy in place, and we are awaiting their comment, but Bajaj did respond to the Gourmet Jar founder's post on social media to deny any such bias, calling the information in her post baseless and not factual.
Right, Ritu, thanks a lot for that. Moving ahead now, Netflix's India content head, Monica Sharma, met the Information and Broadcasting Secretary a day after she was summoned over allegations against its latest web series, IC-814, the Kandahar hijack, on social media. Several netizens had alleged that the show distorted facts and whitewashed terrorism. Abhimanyu Sharma is standing by with more details. Abhimanyu, take us through the government's stance on this matter.
The meeting held by the I&B secretary with Netflix's content head lasted for over an hour, after which Netflix has assured the government that the content will be reviewed and henceforth there would be no content aired on the platform which would not be in line with the sensitivities and culture of India. Several objections were earlier flagged on social media and online by several users, post which this action was initiated by the government. Government sources had earlier indicated that India's civilization and culture should be respected, as well as the sensitivities of people at large with respect to an incident like a plane hijack. Now, the references which were made in the said OTT series, several of them were flagged by social media users, namely the use of the names Bhola and Shankar as code names by hijackers instead of using their real names. Also, there was no direct reference or blame towards Pakistan's ISI, and there were pejorative references which were allegedly made towards Indian negotiators who had gone to Kandahar to negotiate the release of Indian hostages.
Right, Abhimanyu, thanks a lot for that. Now, heavy rains continue to batter Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. At least 35 people have been killed so far across both states. The Met Department has issued a yellow alert in 10 districts of Telangana. State Chief Minister Revanth Reddy visited flood-affected areas. He said that the government will set up State Disaster Response Force to tackle emergencies. He has also announced 5 crore rupees each to flood-affected districts. Meanwhile, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu also visited affected areas. The Indian Air Force carried out relief operations in flood-affected areas of Vijayawada district. The locals in the state are also facing a severe shortage of drinking water. The flood victims were seen in long queues for food and drinking water at the Vijayawada chief ministers from both states have asked the Prime Minister to declare flooding a national disaster. In other news, the Rajasthan government recently signed MoUs worth over 4.5 lakh crore rupees at the state's investor summit, which was held in Mumbai. In a conversation with CNBC-TV18, Chief Minister Bhajan Lal Sharma said that the pacts were signed with companies across several sectors, including energy, automobile and solar energy. He said that the Rajasthan government will do all that it takes to usher in more investments in the state. Take a look.
कई कंपनियों के साथ में लगभग 4.5 लाख करोड़ रुपए के MOU यहाँ हुआ है। इसमें ऊर्जा के क्षेत्र में है, कुछ ऑटोमोबाइल के क्षेत्र में है, कुछ सोलर पंप के क्षेत्र में है, विभिन्न क्षेत्रों में ये हुए हैं।
इसमें से जो आपने सेक्टर्स की बात की है, कंपनीज जो आए हुए हैं जिनसे आपने साइन किए, थोड़े जो बड़े नाम हैं आप हमसे शेयर कर पाएंगे?
नहीं, शेयर तो कर पाएंगे, आपको बता देंगे। लगभग 8 कंपनी हमारे आज यहाँ आई हैं और उनके साथ आज हुआ है। GSW है, अडानी ग्रुप है और 2-3 ग्रुप हैं जिनके साथ ये हुआ है। वेदांता है।
अभी ये जो MOU साइन हुए हैं, इनको अभी इन पे काम लागू होने में आपकी गवर्नमेंट कैसे काम करेगी कि जल्द से जल्द इनका इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑन ग्राउंड फ्रूटफुल रहे, कि काम चालू हो जाए जल्द?
देखिए, आज ये प्रारंभ हुआ है 9, 10, 11 दिसंबर को हमारा ये पूरा समिट का हमारा ये कार्यक्रम है। हम चाहते हैं कि ये जितने भी हमारे MOU हो रहे हैं 1 साल के अंदर अंदर ये ग्राउंड पर आए।
और आपने जैसे मेंशन किया था कि सीमेंट है, सोलार भी है जो इन सेक्टर्स, लेकिन आपका फोकस सेक्टर्स आपके क्या है? जिस सेक्टर्स में ये कौन से सेक्टर्स हैं जिनमें आपको सबसे ज़्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट लाना चाहते हो आप?
देखिए, राजस्थान में बहुत बड़ी संभावना है, चाहे सोलर के क्षेत्र में हो, क्योंकि हमारे पास जमीन भी है
जी,
और सूर्य भगवान की कृपा भी है
जी।
हमारे पास मिनरल्स हैं, तो सीमेंट के क्षेत्र में, अन्य कई क्षेत्रों में संभावनाएं हैं, तो वहाँ पर्यटन के क्षेत्र में भी काफ़ी संभावनाएं हैं, ऑटोमोबाइल के क्षेत्र में भी काफ़ी संभावना है, तो टेक्सटाइल के क्षेत्र में भी संभावना है।
और जो कंपनीज आना चाहेंगे, आप गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से फिस्कल इंसेंटिव्स क्या ऑफर कर रहे हो कि राजस्थान एज अ स्टेट काफ़ी अट्रैक्टिव लगे कंपनीज के लिए?
जो एक स्टेट को इन्वेस्टमेंट लाने के लिए जो सुविधाएं देनी चाहिए, हम सोच रहे हैं कि हर कोई भी स्टेट इस तरह की होगी, उससे ज़्यादा हम उनको काम करेंगे। और उनको सबसे बड़ी जो परेशानी होती है वो समय सीमा की होती है
जी।
और हमने कहा है कि आप जितनी जल्दी चाहोगे उतनी जल्दी हम भी करेंगे।
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. More news and updates will continue right here on CNBC-TV18.